Hello everyone, welcome back to Mech Fam. Sorry for the long delay for the video, but anyways, I'm back here with my dad, the F1 mechanic and pit crew, and we're here to answer 6 questions that someone called Statue Samurai asked. So the first one is, what would you say was the biggest high you experienced in F1, and what was the one major thing you learned through it in your time in F1?
Oh, hello, listeners again. Paul here. Right, biggest high I experienced in F1. To be honest, that has to be the points we scored. So, as a small team, Super Aguri, we obviously were fighting a lot of other teams with a lot bigger budgets, a lot more resources than us, and we were similar to the V-Carb Racing Bulls team is the second team to the Red Bull main team. We, Super Aguri, I suppose you could consider us similar because we were like a B team to the Honda main team. And obviously the Honda main team had a lot more funding than us as Super Aguri. So we were always like the underdogs, basically. And when we managed to have some really good qualifying and races, and our first points were in Barcelona, 2007, I want to say, yep. And that really was a breakthrough with Takuma Sato. We held on for points there. That was like winning the World Championship for us, for a small team. We had some brilliant races as well. One of the other races we scored was Canada, 2007, and I mean my driver Anthony was actually at one point in the race in 3rd place, which was amazing. And then unfortunately they have groundhogs, these small animals, a bit like beavers, in Canada, and one of them he hit on the back straight, which pretty much ruined the front wing and meant a pit stop out of course, which dropped him back down the order. But Takuma still scored points there. So basically those races where we scored points were literally like race wins to us, victories to us. And what's the one major thing I've learned through my time in F1? Never doubt yourself. Always believe in yourself. Pretty much, that's probably the one major lesson. Well, that's in life, to be honest. If anyone puts you down, you need to have that self-belief, your confidence yourself. Doesn't matter what other people say to you. You can achieve what you want if you put your mind to it, and that's, I suppose, one major thing. And in F1, I guess that is one of the major things I learned. Yeah, believe in yourself. Don't let people, because you come across characters in Formula One like any job. You know, people with egos, people that think they're better, people that think you shouldn't be there because you're a new team, you're an underdog. You know, you're giving new people that haven't got F1 experience like myself, before I did F1 a chance. So, you know, you have to sort of dig deep and believe in yourself. Yeah.
That was really interesting. That was.
Thank you.
So the second question is, how was the team spirit at Aguri?
Our team spirit was brilliant. I mean, we were, like I said earlier, we were an underdog. We were a small team. There was only, I would hazard a guess off the top of my memory, probably 60 to 70 travelling staff. Maybe even less than that actually at a Grand Prix. We had a test team, but the test team was also the race team, pretty much. We didn't have garage technicians to set up the garages, we did it all. Everyone mucked in basically, as a small team. That was one of the appealing things about starting with a new team and going to a small team, because you can play a bigger role basically and progress quicker than a massive team. So hence why I left McLaren and went to Super Aguri, took a risk there. But the team spirit was brilliant. We were a good little team. We had key people that had F1 experience. We were led by Aguri Suzuki, we loved. We were led by Daniel Ordetto, an ex-Ferrari race manager back in the Niki Lauda days, 1976. So Daniel was a lovely guy. We were led by experienced, really nice race team manager, which was Mick Ainsley, Cowlin Shaw, which was Schumacher at Benetton's chief mechanic back in those days. Another very experienced guy, really good guy. We were led by chief mechanic was Graham. The surname slips my mind, but basically the team personnel, we had some really good experienced guys with a lot of new to Formula One guys as well, which was the ethos of the team, I think, when Mick and Aguri, when it was all set up in the first place to give new people a chance. So we had a really good team spirit, fantastic team spirit, I would say.
Yeah, so that was, so you somehow remember a lot of information that I would never be able to remember. So you had the, so you were, was the, quick question from me, was the, what was his name, Aguri? Suzuki Aguri, was he like at the pit, like during the races?
Well, the team Super Aguri was named, Aguri is Mr. Suzuki's first name, it was his team, named through the help with Honda. So he was our team boss. He ran the team.
Yeah. So was he at the pit crew?
Yeah, he wasn't in the pit crew. He wasn't the mechanic.
I mean, like in the pits.
But he was in the pits, of course. He was on the pit wall. He was keeping an eye as a team owner. He was a team owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was there, of course.
Yeah, really interesting. So moving on to the next question, what advice would you give for the next generation of future mechanics of F1?
Oh, well, that's a good thing. Advice to future mechanics. Basically, work hard, believe in yourself, and take on any opportunity that arises. I mean, you have to really persevere. A lot of people want to do Formula One, so you have to have a bit of fortune or good luck to get an interview or to get a position in the first place. But yeah, you just have to keep going. Don't give up on your dream. Yeah, just that's it. Work hard.
Basically, never give up. Yeah. Question number 4: which race event was your favourite?
Oh, race event was my favourite. Well, to be honest, I liked all the Grand Prix, but I suppose the ones I prefer: Australia, Melbourne, beautiful place, the weather, St Kilda, the racetrack. You could walk from the hotel to the racetrack in Australia, so that was a great event.
Must have been hot there.
It was hot. It was always the season opener, so a really nice place. Everyone spoke English. You know, it was a lovely place, brilliant place to go. So I really enjoyed Australia. Other races from my memory that stand out: Brazil. Great. Again, just the hustle and bustle of Sao Paulo. There was a lot of eventful things that happened in Brazil, like minibuses to the racetrack. On the day we drove to the racetrack, a convoy of minibuses was attacked because obviously they're a bit of a target for people that potentially were carrying a lot of laptops and expensive equipment in the minibuses. In fact, the Toyota team were shot at. The minibus had a bullet. Yeah, there was a lot of talk in 2007. It might have been the beginning of 2008 actually. I can't remember, but there was a lot of talk, you know, what are we all going to be doing? You know, what is F1 going to be doing to keep us safe or team safe travelling to the track? Because in Brazil you had to go through a lot of poorer neighbourhoods to get to the track. They see Western rich Formula One circuits turn up, and it's
like, oh look, they've probably got like expensive laptops they can sell for a lot of money.
So there's a lot of eventful things, but obviously in Brazil you had the people, the party, the noise. Yeah. The South. We had back in my day in Formula One. Don't know if they do it anymore. We had Red Bull. They had Red Bull parties at certain events. So Red Bull would put on. They hired the stadium, the football stadium in Sao Paulo, and we had massive, you know, evening and nightclub, and that was great. So Brazil stands out. What else? Where else? I mean, there's lots of interesting places we went. Those two really stand out in my memory as ones that, I'd say Brazil and Australia. Japan, I've got to say Japan, haven't I? Super Aguri, we were a Japanese team.
Yeah.
When we went to Japan, we had Takuma Sato, that was the whole reason the team was in existence. He was a hero in Japan. Honda behind us.
Yeah, that's the major thing, because you had literally the whole of Japan supporting Super Aguri.
We were the national team in Japan, like Ferrari are in Italy. So we turned up in Japan.
Yeah, it's just like
everyone loved us. I'm on the front page of the newspaper in Japan.
Yeah.
We're in magazines. We had
literally
head
everywhere.
scarves to wear, like Japanese samurais.
I believe I put a photo on the last podcast of it, of you and your team boss and you another mechanic, I think.
Yeah, we're on the front page.
Like that. That was,
Japan was great.
Yeah.
The fans. We had a Honda Thanks Day, so we with the main Honda team. When the track was closed to the public on one of the evenings, I think earlier in the week before the Friday, I think Wednesday or Thursday, we'd have Honda Thanks. So there was a lot of Honda staff. As you know, Honda, I don't know if you know, but Honda own the circuit in Suzuka in Japan. So they have a theme park there with a big wheel. So we went on that. I met my hero, my hero, personal hero, Murray Walker, who's a commentator, very famous commentator, used to be in Formula One. I had a Polaroid with him and unfortunately took it back to the hotel, left it on my bedside table. A Polaroid's like a photo that prints out instantly. I had it of my hero. I would have framed that picture and treasured it for the rest of my life, and unfortunately I was a bit naive and I found out afterwards, but I'd gone back to the hotel, left my Polaroid on my bedside table, and it had gone by the time I come back to the room after being at the circuit.
Do you think someone took it?
Well, apparently Murray Walker's also a hero in Japan, and sadly it seems one of the potentially someone took it, one of the cleaning staff, or because it had Murray Walker in it. Maybe I misplaced it, but I'm pretty sure I left it where I left it, and it wasn't there when I came back and room service had happened, and then I got told basically, don't leave anything lying around with Murray Walker on it because it will go wandering. But so Japan, I have to say, Japan is up there with one of the best places.
That's
and we
gutting,
walked up
isn't it?
Mount Fuji in 2007, we went to Fuji to different race back in Japan.
So have you met two of your heroes then? Because that's really gutting, is that photo.
Yeah.
But have you? So you met two of your heroes then? Because you met Schumacher. You met Michael Schumacher in the toilets during a testing.
Yes.
And then you met...
strange place, I know.
Yeah, and then you met...
Well, let me provide some context, because people will find that amusing.
Basically, my dad, they were doing a testing, I think.
Yeah, we were winter testing in Jerez, in Spain. And, yeah, Schumacher's always been up there as a hero or someone, when I used to watch Formula 1 as a child and young teen and looked forward to. I wanted to meet Mika Hakkinen. Never got a chance. I don't know why I didn't get to meet Mika, because he was another one of my heroes. But anyway, that was when the Hakkinen Schumacher battles were at their height, the late 90s, early 2000s. But yes, I'd gone to the toilet in the winter test. No one there, no fans, just teams testing in winter. And lo and behold, alongside me came in Michael Schumacher. So when you're standing next at the urinals, your childhood hero, it's a strange moment, but I stayed very professional in the moment. And then Murray Walker was he's really what brought Formula 1 alive to me as a child. His excitement, his enthusiasm for Formula 1, that really brought the emotion to it, especially as a child, and that's where my love came from. Really, Murray Walker.
So Michael Schumacher. Did you say anything to him, or were you just silent?
I did say how's everything? How's the test going?
Yeah,
it was the new cars.
So you just basically, you treated him like any other person.
Yeah,
you
just said because
at the end of the day, you got to remember these people are just humans, and it's like him getting all these attention, because I bet you back then he never got any peace and quiet because of his fans.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice, just for him to
he doesn't want someone fawning over him or a member of staff.
I'd love to have
got an autograph, but we're there to do a job. We're professionals.
Especially whilst taking a piss.
Well, you said it. Well.
Yeah. Anyways, question number 5. What kind of person was Anthony Davidson in the garage?
Anthony was, as you know, one of my drivers. I was his gearbox technician. He was a lovely guy. Hemel Hempstead, English, could speak to him. That was one of the issues with having a foreign driver, because we had other drivers, like Sakon was one of my drivers. Sakon Yamamoto didn't speak a lot of English. Yuji Ide, he only lasted for a few races at the beginning of our team, 2006. I wasn't on the race team then, I was back at the factory, but again, he didn't speak any English, so that would have been hard to communicate with. Takuma spoke English, but was a bit of a superstar, But Anthony, really down to earth, lovely guy. He had his wife travelling a lot with him. I've got some funny story in a way it's a bit of a, well, it's a bit of a from a one-sided perspective, I suppose, but and I understand why. But Anthony, as my driver, and I'm his gearbox technician, would, if there was a problem with the car, would automatically jump on the radio and say, the gearbox is doing this, the gearbox is doing that. And as the gearbox technician, I would be looking at the data, because when he was out on track, I'd be looking at data as well on the laptops, telemetry, and sometimes could see, well, there's nothing wrong mechanically with the gearbox. So when basically the gearbox is controlled by hydraulics, which is pressurized oil, yeah, but hydraulically and electronically, yeah, you have mechanical parts of the gearbox, the gears, the lay shaft, main shafts, you know, you have all these mechanical parts, but they're generally extremely reliable if they're controlled properly by the electronics and the hydraulics. And what used to go wrong quite often was the hydraulics and the electronics, which caused a gearbox failure, yeah? So, of course, Anthony would jump on the radio straight away and say, the gearbox is doing this, the gearbox is doing that. And I would be a little bit...
shocked?
Not
scared.
shocked. I was always a bit
scared.
defensive about the gearbox, because I'd be like, well, the gearbox isn't doing anything. Please say it's the hydraulics are doing this, the electronics are doing this. But that's just a funny thing from my side. But he was a lovely guy, down to earth. Yeah, great guy.
I've got a challenge. If this video gets to 15 likes, and you guys want to, just comment down below. If this video gets 15 likes and you guys comment down below saying you want it, my dad will tell you the funny stories of him and Anthony Davison just in general, and maybe some of the parties they went to, because I know one of the stories that you told me, and I want you to do that. If you don't tell them, I'll tell them a brief bit, because I know not all the details, but just a little bit. Okay, anyways,
I might not
moving
have
on
told you everything, and some things might not be broadcastable.
Yeah.
But anyway, next question.
Yeah, if you think you can't say on YouTube, then don't say it. Anyways, this is the sixth and final question
From Statechel
Samurai. How high was the adrenaline pumping on a pit stop?
Well, funnily enough, not very high, because we're all professionals. You
stay calm.
Exactly, have to stay calm. And if you're panicking or you're adrenaline, I mean, you have some adrenaline, of course. But generally speaking, if you have too much adrenaline, things potentially could go wrong. So just like the driver controls his adrenaline and controls his
Car.
his panic, I suppose. You know, he keeps calm. He's a professional. We were all professionals as well. You do get found out quite quickly if you can't handle the pressure, and pressure in terms of, you know, a gearbox being taken apart in the garage with a TV camera in your face. You got an hour before qualifying, the whole team's looking at you. You know, your number one mechanic's asking how long it's going to be. You got, you know, that's when you do feel the pressure's on. And I felt a lot of pressure, and unfortunately for me, one thing that happens to me under pressure is I sweat a lot. So beads of sweat would be coming off me. But basically, you learn to handle the pressure. I don't know how you learn it, but you learn to ignore the pressure, and it doesn't matter. You can go in your own world, your own zone, and you just focus on what you're doing. So, panicking-wise, no, there wasn't a lot of adrenaline in a pit stop. There is one moment, I will say, where there was adrenaline in a pit stop, and that was when, by the way, in the pit stops, us mechanics and technicians were in the garage. You know, we're watching it on TV just like everyone else, and we got headsets on, so we can hear the communication between the driver and the pit wall. The pit wall we called the Pratt perch, yeah? I mean, it's because the engineers, we used to call it the Pratt perch because sometimes they would call in the car at last with no notice. And when you get a box, you know, and you find out, and sometimes the car would turn up in the pit box, and we'd still sit in the garage. And Canada was one of those moments. You can see it on TV. We were sat I think that's maybe when Anthony hit the groundhog. But sometimes there is more notice that the engineers could have given us, and you don't get it. And that's when you do panic. When a car is in the box, you've got to find the right tyres. Any wing adjustments. You know, you've got three technicians on each corner of the car. You've got a rear jack man, a front jack man, and you've all run out. You've got to grab the tyres, take the blankets off them. You've got to dodge each other, not run into each other. It's very easy to look very silly on TV. And so when you watch it on TV and you see a pit stop happening that might be a bit comical, it is easy to think, oh, crikey, how lame are those? We could do a lot better job than them. But in the heat of the moment, yeah, that is when your adrenaline does go up. But generally, you're quite calm.
Yeah, because when you're a professional, being a professional isn't just about knowing what to do, blah blah. You're doing good at your job. It's also staying calm in the moment. Because if you see a footballer like panic, for example, like a footballer panicking, having a panic attack during a mid-game, they're not really going to be that professional. Anyways, we're gonna tell some more stories next thing. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Stachel Samurai.
Yep, thank you for your questions, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to provide some answers. And I mean, it's a long time ago now. I left Formula One when did the team unfortunately finish? Early part of 2008. So I did 27 Grand Prix as a gearbox technician, but it was a long time ago, 2025 now. So a lot of my memory is quite a hazy one. But thank you for providing the opportunity to answer. It sounded really interesting.
Thank you all for tuning in, and bye.
Bye.